Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to my channel and to our coffee times together. Today I am here to talk to you about some of the January book releases. I am aware the video is coming out a little bit late because I had kind of like a problem between Christmas. I was too busy, traveling too much, and I was not able to finish all the videos that I had planned for end of the year, all of those best worst videos. And so this one comes a little bit delayed, but I hope that you still would like to check out some of the January book releases.
It's coffee time!
We have a very wide variety of books. There is some fantasy here, there's some horror here, so let's get started. Alright, so I have my list ready and let's start. On the 7th of January comes out a book that I'm really excited about. It is Come Tumbling Down, and this is number 5 on the Wayward Children series by Sean McGuire. The first book was called Every Heart a Doorway, and I absolutely adored it. The books are fairly short, they're around 200 pages, so they are perfect for a binge. The story is really interesting, and it's one of the things that made me pick up the first book. So we're following, kids that find these doorway to other worlds, to kind of fantasy worlds, and they get lost there for a certain period of time. This might be months or years, and at some point they get sent back to reality and they have a huge problem adjusting again to the real world, and all they want to do is find the door again to their world of fantasy and go back there. And so because these children are having trouble adapting, they're being sent to a school for wayward children. And in the books we kind of follow different stories from different of the kids that have landed in that school, and I absolutely love the series. I do own until book 4. I have only read from 1 to 3, so I need to read 4, and I'm really excited to also pick up book 5. Next we have A Hearts of Fears and Broken, and it's the second book on the Carsbreaker series by Bridget Kammerer, and this is a YA fantasy retelling. The first book was called A Curse So Dark and Lonely, and this is, I have been told, a really good retelling on the Beauty and the Beast, and it does have some representation here for cerebral palsy, and it's one that I'm really excited about, that I really want to check but I still haven't. But in case that you enjoyed it, the second book on the series is coming out on the 7th of January. Next we have Fantasy Queer YA, Scavenge the Stars by Tara Sim. And what I know about this one is that we're following the story of a girl that has been kind of trapped in abuse against her will in a ship, and then one day she's drowning and somebody rescues her and she thinks she's going to be abused again, but then apparently not, and then probably she's kind of free. I'm not sure, but it has to do with ships and revenge, because from the moment that she's rescued she's plotting revenge to kind of get back at the person that had her locked and abused her for so many years. So it's one that I'm excited to check out. I don't read too many YAs that have to do with ships and the sea, but it's something that I'm really passionate about. I love the sea and I love pirate stories, so, and this one includes revenge so I would really like to check it out. Next I have an adult horror, and this is kind of like a compilation of short stories, and it's called Lullabies for Suffering, Tales of Addiction Horror. So it says here that each story in Lullabies for Suffering features the insidious nature of addiction. Sounds interesting to me, and one of the authors is Caroline Kepnes, who wrote You, which is a thriller that I actually really enjoyed, so I'm excited to check this one out. And the last one that I have to mention from the 7th of January is a YA thriller, and this is called One of Us is Next, which is the sequel of One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. And I did read One of Us is Lying, and even though I could figure out the plot twist, I still did enjoy the book, and this takes off after the events of that book, and now apparently the new threat is this game of truth or dare that is being played at school, in which the dares start to get more and more dangerous. On the 14th of January we have Infinity Sun by Adam Silvera, and this is a LGBT fantasy YA book, and it starts a new series. This is the first time that Adam Silvera is writing fantasy, and I know a lot of people have been excited about this book. I received an early copy of the book and I enjoyed it, but I know that there is a lot of flaws, a lot of problems with the book when it comes to the world building and to explain exactly what the powers are and what all the terminology is. But the main story is that after a blackout, we're living in a world where politicians are being very sketchy and they're going after people that have special powers. And there is these two brothers that all their lives have been waiting to receive their powers. That is something that you get until you pass the age of 18. After that, the possibilities of you getting powers is basically none. So they're very excited, all their lives waiting to get the powers, but none of them is getting them, and they are reaching that age. So I really enjoy the characters in this book, but like I said, the world building was not perfect. Next we have a science fiction YA that sounds really intriguing, and it's called Strange Exit by Parker Peavy House. And if I understand correctly, it is a post-apocalyptic scenario in which a nuclear force has destroyed the earth and the humans are kind of orbiting in these spaceships, and they are kind of hooked into this virtual reality that makes them believe they're still in earth. And I think they cannot wake up or realize what's happened until they all understand that the world they see, it's not reality itself, something like that. But it sounds super intriguing to me, and this is definitely one that I really want to get to. Next is a romance, a YA contemporary romance called Lucky Caller by Emma Mills. All I know is that it is about these radio station where they're broadcasting something, and then apparently some people from fandoms get mad at this radio show or something like that. I have been meaning to read Emma Mills for a while because I know a lot of people in the booktube community do like her books, but I still have not picked up any of them. However, this has been mentioned by a lot of people, so I just wanted to mention it here as well. Next we have The Conference of the Birds, which is Miss Peregrine's School for Peculiar Children Volume 5 by Ransom Riggs, and this is YA fantasy. I read the original trilogy. I still have to read A Map of Days, and I have a copy of it, so I really need to get to it because literally the 5th book is out is coming out this month. But it's another story, you know, with kids with powers, and I really enjoyed it. It's a series that I think it's not for everybody. There's always people that either love it or hate it. I am one of those that loved it, and we're following the story of this boy that his grandpa has always told him these stories about this island and Miss Peregrine and these children that have powers. And when he grows up, he decides to go and investigate and see if any of those stories are true, and he ends up finding Miss Peregrine's School for Peculiar Children and the children, and so we follow his adventures with them. Next we have an adult mystery thriller that I know nothing about and it is called How Quickly She Disappears by Raymond Flashman, and all that I read was this pitch line that says, "The dry meets the silence of the lambs." I was like, I'm interested, and it has to do about madness, obsession, loneliness, and grief. I don't know, it sounds really intense, and it is a thriller that was on my radar for this year, so I hope to get to it as well at some point. Next we have another adult mystery thriller, and we have The Tenant by Katrin Engberg, and it is a story of a young woman that is found brutally murdered in her apartment with a specific carving on her face, and then the police department needs to start the investigation. Sounds like a very basic thriller, but I'm a sucker for those kind of stories. On the 21st of January we have Tweet Cute by Emma Lord, and this is a YA contemporary romance, and by what I understood from the synopsis is that we're following the story of this girl that she's an overachiever and her family is kind of struggling. They have a fast food chain kind of business, and apparently she puts so much effort in Twitter to promote it that they end up really booming the business, something like that. I don't know, it sounded interesting. Also on the same day we find The Hand on the Wall by Maureen Johnson, YA mystery thriller, and this is going to be the last book on the trilogy that started with Truly Devious. I do have a copy of Truly Devious and The Vanishings there, but I have heard not so great reviews about it. I feel like it's a book that either you hate or you love. And I bought the first 2 books, so I guess I'll have to give them a shot before I get to the third one. But by the sounds of it, it's kind of like this mystery that happens in a high school and all the students are involved and it has to be resolved. So I guess it's kind of like a Sherlock Holmes investigation style, but in modern times and teenagers. On the 23rd of January, we have a book that I'm also excited about, which is a new CJ Tudor book, and it's called The Other People. This is an adult mystery thriller. My deal with CJ Tudor is I have read her 2 other books that are out. I really love her style, her writing style, and how she's preparing the stories and the characters. But when we come to the end and the conclusion, I always get disappointed. So I'm hoping that this third book, it's going to be the charm. And I'm not only going to enjoy her writing style, which I always do, but I'm also gonna enjoy the end. Hopefully. And I think this is following multiple characters and a missing child, so kind of like her regular plot lines, and I am excited to see how she did with this one. Also on the same date, we have another adult horror book called Pine by Francine Toon. So Lauren and her dad are driving home one night and they see this woman coming out of the woods, because where they live they're basically surrounded by trees, and they decide to take her home to try to help her, but the next morning she's gone. And it seems that in the town where they live, there's a lot of weird things that have happened, including the disappearance of Lauren's mom years ago. And Lauren is trying to look for answers also using tarot cards. So this might be something for you, Ola, if you're watching this video, because this is an adult horror that includes tarot cards. So just saying, this might be for you. And the last one that I would like to talk to you about is one that is coming on the 30th of January, and it's called We Are Monsters by Brian Kirk, and this is also some adult horror, and I'm gonna be reading these through the month of January because I got a copy from NetGalley, which I'm really thankful for. So I will be reading this one on the publication month. The plot for this one was what really got me interested, because we are following a troubled psychiatrist that loses his funding to kind of perform clinical experiments to try to find a cure for schizophrenia. And when he cannot do these experiments anymore legally, he kind of starts to do them illegally on criminally insane patients from the asylum that he works at, and it kind of brings out all of the demon and all of the evil and monsters that are inside of these patients. So sounds totally down my alley, and I hope it's gonna be good. And these were all the books that I wanted to talk to you about that are coming out in the month of January, or are already out by the time that you watch this video. Please let me know down below if you are excited about any of these, or if there's any other new release for the month of January that I missed that you think I might enjoy. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. Please give the video a big thumbs up. Before you leave, remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell. If you have all the social media and you want to follow me there as well, I do have Goodreads, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The links to those can be found in the description box down below. And I hope to see you all in the next coffee time. Bye!